What's up, guys? Thank you so much for joining me today. For those who don't know me, my name is Eliasaf, but I usually just go by Lisa because it's much easier. And I am currently staying in the United States, but originally I am from Zimbabwe. Now, one big difference between the United States and Zimbabwe is the food that we eat. And sometimes, even though you have the exact same ingredients, they don't work in the exact same way. So in this video, I am making samosas, which I usually make with my mother back home in Zimbabwe, and we're going to try the exact same recipe on the ingredients that we find here in the United States. Please stay tuned and I hope you enjoy the video.
I started by making the pastry for our samosas. To do this, the recipe requires 2 cups of all-purpose flour, which in Zimbabwe we refer to as plain flour, and 1 cup of water. I start to slowly incorporate the water into the flour, hoping to get the right texture. At first, it seems like my dough is too firm, but after more mixing, I realized that the dough was actually too sticky. Yep, and because of this, I had to start adding more flour bit by bit whilst kneading the dough till I could get the perfect consistency. And trust me, that took a long time. Wow, kneading should really be considered as a workout. In the end, I used just about 3 cups of flour for my 1 cup of water. And then I let my dough rest in a floured bowl. After a few minutes, the dough was well rested and I started making my pastry sheets. I first divided my dough into 2 halves, and for the first half I divided into 3 pieces, and the second half I divided into 4 pieces. I then started rolling these small pieces into small circles. I had to make sure that every small circle I made was just about the exact same size. And this was a bit harder for me because I'm not used to using rolling pins that are wooden. I usually use PVC. But this is what I had, so it had to work. Afterward, I started layering my round pieces of dough. And in between the layers, I put cooking oil to make sure that they didn't stick together. And I mean, they can stick alright. For the first half that I divided into 3 pieces, I just layered all those 3 pieces and made one pastry sheet from there. And for the second half that I divided into 4 pieces, I first did 2 together and the other 2 together. As you can see, I made sure that the surface I'm working on is dry because the pastry can really stick onto the counter, and when you now want to separate these sheets that we're putting together right now, it will be technically impossible. I started rolling my sheets that I put together into bigger pieces and pulling the lagging sheets to make sure that they're just about the same size. Here you can see me measuring with my oven tray to make sure that my pastry sheet fits into the oven tray. When the pastry is in the oven and you touch it, if it makes an indentation, that means that it's not yet ready. But if it's nice and firm, like you can see here, then the pastry is ready to go. But you should make sure that it doesn't get hard. For 3 layers, it takes about 3 to 4 minutes, and for 2 layers, it takes just about 1 to 2 minutes. I put my pastry on the countertop and I start to separate it before I cover it. Separating here was a bit too tricky, and I concluded that it was probably because the dough was quite damp. But anyways, I had to salvage whatever I could because I still had to make samosas. At this point, I really started rethinking my life choices. But we still made it work, and that's what you just do in life, you know. Sometimes life just doesn't want to unfold in a nice pastry sheet. It wants to come out in torn pieces. Anyways, I moved on to making the filling for our samosas, and for this I used half a pound of ground beef, or as I usually just refer to it as minced meat. I added this ground beef into my pot with piping hot oil, and that's me jumping away from the piping hot oil. I then started breaking down the meat and at the same time allowing it to cook. I had to make sure that the pieces were as small as possible. I started seasoning my meat in the pot. That's salt. I also added parsley. And no, I did not measure. And then I added paprika, which are the basic 3 ingredients that I usually use when I'm cooking with my mom. But then, come on guys, I'm not cooking with my mom, so I had to add a little something extra. So I added just a bit of chili powder, and then a mix of onion powder and garlic powder. I then mixed my mince with carrots, just to add the vegetable aspect, because mother loves vegetables. Before filling my pastry sheets, you can see me washing my hands, because guys, hygiene is important. Then I moved on to cutting my pastry sheets so that I could make the pockets to fill my samosas. And because of the way my pastry sheet had turned out, this was a bit difficult, but not impossible. So, then again, we made it work. When folding my samosas, I used a glue, which is basically a mixture of water and flour, just like our pastries. It shouldn't be too watery, but also not too thick. I then started folding my pastry sheets and filling them with our ground beef mixture. Make sure to cover the pastry sheets that you're not using so that they don't dry out. And now you just get to see me folding a dozen samosas. Enjoy!
When I was done folding my samosas, I started frying them. And I had to make sure they were nice and crispy, so my oil was hot, but not too hot because we didn't want to get them burnt. I turned them, but not too frequently, just so that both sides would get nicely golden. And ladies, I present to you perfection. Okay, they're not that excellent, but the coloring is just nice. I love the goldenness. And this is how I made samosas.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed and learned a little something. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so that you do not miss my next video. Have a great day and stay blessed.